Okay, I wanted to do a second video to follow up on the first one I did, which I'm going to remove, called Take Back Your Rights, File Your Birth Certificate as a Business Entity. So I was looking for that next step, how can we actually use this? So I reached out to who I had learned this from, and I learned it from listening to a show called The Human Frequency on YouTube, and they had a guest on there named Douglas Joseph Herich, who had, was on for about an hour or two and gave a lot of information on filing your assumed name certificate. And he talked about all these sort of things that were able to go his way, so to speak, because he filed this assumed name certificate. And so when I first heard this, I was totally into it and trying to figure out, the benefits, and I immediately filed my assumed name certificate with the state of with the Secretary of State in Minnesota, and it was really easy. You just file online. It's like $40, and you put your name holder name as last, comma, first, middle, and the name on your birth certificate is essentially the entity. So you are separated, the living, breathing person, from the entity, like we talked about in the first show. So I had reached back out to Sharon's her name, and I had asked her, I emailed her, hey, do you know anything more about any new ways we can utilize this? Because I wanted to do a follow-up video and let you guys know, how can we utilize this in our everyday life? Is there some sort of way we can, not register our cars, tax benefits, anything like that? Because I've had my assumed name certificate for a while, and I'm just wondering what the next step is. Well, Sharon watched my video and was very critical of it, so I agreed to take it down because a lot of the information was apparently inaccurate, and I need to do more research. So, hey, I'll be the first one to humbly admit any mistakes that I made on the first video and follow it up with corrections. And I have researched Douglas Joseph Herich's scribd page, which I will link in the bottom of this video, so you can look it up yourself. There's about 17, 18 pages that you can read through. A lot of this stuff is very novel, and it's, to me, it's a way to kind of create our sovereignty, or take our sovereignty back. And so I know a lot of people are starving for this information. We're going through a time of, a mass awakening. We're learning things at a really fast rate. It's hard to keep up. And so I'm just trying to figure out how we can use this in a practical way in our everyday lives. So I wanted to just set some things straight on the record that Sharon had emailed me, and I had also took some notes on just by doing a little research last night. So first of all, we're not born as an entity. We're born as living men and women. The entity is created on the birth certificate as our game piece to operate legally in commerce, okay? No one is a corporate entity. We are all living humans who are out of compliance. Out of compliance does not make us entities, but we are saying that we are those entities because of our misunderstanding of who we are. The business entity's name holder was previously the United States. It becomes you, the living, breathing person, when you file the assumed name certificate. The legal name was a business all along, the name on your birth certificate. And you were a living man or woman all along, just out of compliance. There are no tax benefits because no taxes are owed. If you are still using your personal bank account, it can be taken. Money can be levied out of there. You need to open a proper business account and close all of your personal accounts. Okay, so once you have this filing, this assumed name certificate, you can go open a business account at a bank, legally. People are not walking around as illegitimate businesses, like I had said. They are living men and women who are simply out of compliance. Very important distinction. Voting. Voting is illegal and cannot matter. Our business entities cannot vote. So voting is a moot point. You are not an owner. You cannot own anything as a living, breathing man or woman. You are the name holder of the business entity. Okay? The name holder, not the owner. I got that wrong. You do not file your given name as a corporate entity. You file the name on the birth certificate, the legal name, as a business entity. So, difference between your given name and your legal name. Okay. Now here's some information I looked up online last night. I looked up Gis Langcott, who apparently has, she's from Canada. She's, she's a doctor, and I think she'd spent some time in prison for tax evasion. And so I read up a little bit on her. So when a living human baby is born, the government constitutes a corporation, a company, that belongs to it and to which it gives the same name as the one chosen by the parents for their baby. To this name, the government adds a date of birth and a social insurance number. This establishes the birth certificate of a legal entity, a fictitious, virtual, lifeless person. So the name on your birth certificate is a legal entity, a fictitious, virtual, lifeless person. Thus, the birth certificate represents the registration of a historical fact and does not constitute in any way a proof of identity. Okay, so this newly created fictitious person is the property of the government. Since she is not alive, she can only exist if the real person accepts to feed her by endorsing her with a signature. How can this be done? By making sure that the real person identifies herself to the fictitious person bearing the same name as her. This way, both persons become amalgamated. As she is not aware of this scheme, the real person works by the sweat of her brow in order to feed a fictitious person who belongs to the government, her and all of her possessions. In fact, everything under the name of a person, your house, your car, your bank accounts, your salary, your pension, your insurance, even your children, belong to this fictitious person, and therefore to her owner, the government. So every time we sign something, we're basically acknowledging this, we're agreeing to it, that this fictitious, lifeless entity is us. And so part of this filing is saying, that's not us. We're the living, breathing person protected by common law. I think I could say that safely after understanding this a little bit better. So you're simply just separating the two, okay? You're taking this lifeless, fictitious entity that belongs to the government, which is a corporation, and you're separating yourself from that with an assumed name certificate. That's all you're doing, okay? In addition, without the citizen being informed of the situation, a commercial exchange exists between the government and the fictitious person. First of all, the government grants privileges to the fictitious person, rights, security, protection. In exchange, the fictitious person must pay all taxes. This contract is presumed, which means that the government takes it for granted without informing and getting the consent of the real person, the actual living, breathing person. So we are basically just paying our taxes voluntarily. In return, she must conform to the obligations of the fictitious person since she identifies herself to her, when really her is a lifeless, fictitious entity. The real person is totally unaware of the existence of a fictitious person bearing the same name as her and of this presumed contract. She does not realize that the contractual obligations are not related to her, but the corporation bearing her name. That's the difference. There we go with the distinction. That's not you. That's just a corporation that bears your name and is a lifeless, fictitious entity. For the real person, the living, breathing person protected by common law, divine law, universal law, you and me, the production of an income tax report and any contributions are always voluntary. So we've been paying taxes all these years voluntarily. Okay? So when you hear about people saying, well, there's no law that requires me to pay an income tax, like in Aaron Russo's America from freedom to fascism, all those former IRS agents who aren't paying taxes because they know there's no law, they're absolutely right. This contract is made without the knowledge of the real person. That's the thing, is we sign and we're basically consenting. Every time we sign, we're saying we're that person. Okay? It's crazy. Yeah, so that's it. Just want to make some corrections. I'm going to erase that former video. I'm going to do more research myself. I realize it's a little bit irresponsible to make a video with this birth certificate information when I fully wasn't understanding the whole thing completely. So, guilty as charged. I just ask you to research it yourself, to file your assumed name certificate first, and we can figure this out together. But there's something here, okay? There's something here. There's more to the story. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm willing to research, be patient with it, and figure it out. I don't know how it can benefit you, but I know that it simply separates you, the living, breathing person, from this fictitious, lifeless entity that the corporation, masquerading as a government, the United States of America, Inc., assigned to you on your birth certificate in all caps, okay? So we are separating, making a distinction that I am a living, breathing person. I am protected by God. I'm protected by God's laws, which are common laws, not maritime laws, admiralty laws, Roman Empire laws. Common law, okay? So that's what we're doing. That's all I know. Let's find this out together. Let's find the truth. Let's take back our power. It's a spiritual war, and we're going to win it, and we just have to be smart about it, okay? Until next time.